Hello, and today I'm going to be taking us through the Ensign PDF Ductwork takeoff. And what we're going to want to do to get started is just to upload our drawings onto the cloud platform that we're going to want to be doing today. So we're going to want to come over here to this blue folder icon, the Browse Cloud Documents button. Give that a press, and that's going to open up your cloud storage, and we're going to want to go into our drawings folder. In here we can create any new folders if we wish to, or we can simply just copy and paste the drawings or complete folders directly into here, and that's going to upload the drawings for us. There we go. And now I'm just going to open back on the PDF takeoff software, and to get the drawing on screen I'm going to want to open it. So you're going to want to go to this yellow open PDF document, give that a press, open up the selected drawing, and that's going to get it live on our screen. So now we're going to be able to move around on the drawing. I'm currently using my mouse wheel to zoom me in and out, and I'm pointing where I want to zoom in when I'm rolling my wheel. Now it is quite sensitive, so you don't particularly need to roll it very much, just nice little bits at a time. So zoom in, move, zoom in and move. Okay. We can also drag ourselves around either by pressing our left click or by simply pushing in and holding down our mouse wheel but not rolling it. That's going to be quite helpful later on, as we're going to be using the left click to actually place the takeoff on the drawing. So the first thing that we are going to want to do on this is we're going to want to set our scale. So if we come down to the ledger of the drawing, it might be more helpful to zoom out and back in again. We can see that the drawing size is AO and it's meant to be 1:50. So I'm going to set it over here on the scale bar. There we are. And now what you're always going to want to do is check to make sure that the scale is correct. Now this can be done in a couple of different ways, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start off with this ruler tool, the measure distance. So I'm going to select that with my left click, and now that's changed my mouse icon to a crosshair, so I know I'm either using a tool or I'm plotting some takeoff. So I'm going to measure this door width, so I'm going to left click on one side of the door and then left click to the other, and that's telling me roughly what the distance there is. Now I believe that is correct, so we can go from there. Now there is other things we can do if the scale wasn't correct or if the drawing size didn't match, which would be this custom scale tool here. Now we can write in for particular scales that we need, like 1/75, something that isn't in the drop down menu, but what we're going to want to do is press this little button here with the three dots, and if we do the same thing that we did again with the ruler tool, so left click at one side of the door and left click to the other, and we tell it the distance which we believe the door should be, that then gives us a scale. And then you just need to round up or down depending on where your clicks were. You can always get a little bit more accurate the more that you zoom in. So I'm just going to change it there to 1:50. Okay, so now that the scale is now set, now it's just a matter of deciding where we're going to start doing our takeoff from today. Going through, selecting the relevant different items and then putting them in the drawing. But just before we start to do that, I just wanted to roughly take us through some of the tools up here along the top. So any of these icons up here, if you hover over them, it will tell you what the tools will do. So some are pretty self-explanatory, like the zoom in and out tool. So this can be done with a left click and then right click to cancel it out rather than using the mouse wheel, as the mouse wheel can be changed in your preference tab just to move you up and down the page, along with a couple of other different things, like being able to automatically save the drawing every 5 minutes to an hour. So you just set your interval so for example 10 minutes would just be done like that. The setting I was on about with the mouse wheel, is just over here. It's also where we can change what our default length of risers are, and a couple of other useful features as well. So if you'd like to discuss any of that, please get in contact with us. So going back over this top toolbar, then we've got a couple of other icons over here that would allow us to turn the page if this was a multiple page document. We also have basic rotation, undo and redo features, a button which expands our grid, which is going to log all of our takeoff lines, and you just click it again to send that back down. You've then also got your support button with all of the articles and all of our support information in there, including being able to submit tickets and being able to talk to us over our new live chat. And of course, always remember to come in and check for new articles to help you out with any features on the software. You've also got the ability to put markers in, so text, dot and line marker, but these will not count as takeoff lines and they will not follow you into the estimating. These are only there to be used as annotations to be placed on top of the drawing. And a couple of other features as well, but we can go over them as we get a little bit further into it. And you've also got the ability to change the size of the takeoff lines that you're doing, but the software will always try and pick a suitable, that's what it means there by default, but always change it to suit your preferences. The second row down here is just to do with the takeoff items that you will be using. So if you've noticed, they are the same icons that you would see in the estimating system, except for there's two straights now, straights with square bends and straight with radius bends. As the software is going to automatically put them in for you, you do have the choice. And if you want to switch over from your rectangular items to your circular items, that's what these A and B button is here for. So just give that a press and that will switch you over to your circular items. Press it once again to take you back to the rectangulars. So always do remember, hover over any of the icons if you are a little bit unsure on what they mean, but eventually you will be able to know where they all are. And if we move down here a little bit further, I know we've covered the scale bar, and down here we get to pick what colour our icons are going to be, our actual takeoff line colours, and then we can label them up accordingly. This is going to help us read it across into the estimating system, or to give us all the sizes if you wanted to export it into an Excel document as well. And then we simply input the sizes down here on the width and depth column, and if you've noticed, when we switch over to the circular, that changes to a diameter for you. So the only other thing to mention before we actually start doing the takeoff is this layers button here. Some PDFs still retain their original layers, so we are able to go through and remove certain aspects of the drawing to perhaps make this a little bit easier for us to remove unnecessary information we don't necessarily need on the screen. So the layers tab is always worth having a little look, just to see if you can make your drawing any easier for yourself. So now that we want to actually start doing the drawing and taking off from there, what we can do now is pick where we're going to go from. So I'm going to start from this point here and then work our way through here for the toilet supply. So I can go through, like previously said, and pick the specific colour which we need. I'm just going to leave it on red for the supply system, and then simply here I'm going to write that we are doing it for the supply, specifically the toilet, and then I simply input my sizes here, and then I select the item which I need from up here, as we said previously. I'm going to select this one, and all I'm going to do is start with a left click and then left click to the next point I need, so up to the square to round, and then finalize that with a right click. And as you can see, that's put this measurement down there for us. And then simply choose where you're going to go from there, whether you're going to go for your branches, whether you're going to come back and do the fire damper, or whether we're just going to continue on down this main run. Now I'm personally going to go for the fire damper as it's already at 225, so I won't not have to type that size in again. So I'm going to select my fire damper up here and select it there, which gives me this little icon there. So I'll zoom in so you can see it a little bit better. I'll drag us down now to over here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to change over and I'm going to do the two branches at 160, and I'm going to grab my boots, attach one here, I'll attach one there, and then switch over to my straight. So as you can see, you can do everything that you need to do at once, and here I'm going to measure straight through the VCD and give that a right click, and as you can see, that's put the bend on for me, which is just here. Now as you can obviously get the gist of it, you can just carry on going through doing everything that you need, and then switch over to the next relevant item and start counting all of those up. That's a bit of insulated flex, and there we are. So that does that little bit there for us. So as you can see, it's quite easy to go through and switch to the next set of items which you need. So we've inputted a couple of linear items, as well as doing some automatic, having it automatically allow for counts for us, as well as putting in the dampers, which by the way did actually automatically put in the access doors for us as well, so we don't necessarily have to count them up for ourselves either. Okay, so if there's any particular items that you're also trying to find that you're not able to find over here off of the menu bar up at the top, you can always go to this MISC button here, which is the selected circular items or selected rectangular items as it's labelled in the estimating. This will have all your additional items that you'd need. Now, if there's anything in particular which you need which you don't have in this list, simply come and speak with us and we can discuss getting that added onto your database. But if you needed to do the count right now and allow for it, simply go for the special items button here. This will allow you to input your own description of the item, even if you don't necessarily know what the cost or the installation time would be for the item. If you just write it out as a description, that will allow you to do your count, and when it all gets moved across into the estimating system, for example, we will be able to fill out this information. Now what I want to do is just show you something up here, another little trick that we would be able to do. So I'm going to do this on the toilet extract. So one thing I need to make sure that I do is change over to my next service and make sure I write that in again. So I'm going to write in extract and toilet. There we go. And what I'm going to do is just show us how we could quickly count up these measurements here. So I'm going to keep it at 160, and what I'm going to do is grab these straight, measure the little bit, and what I'm going to do is do this one first. Right click, input the shoes, and then input a little bit of flex. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the items that we've just used. So if I expand that to make it a bit easier, that's the last three. So the spiral, the shoe, and the flex. I'm going to highlight all of them, send the grid back down, and they are still all highlighted. And I'm going to press the RPT button, which is repeat run. Now this will allow us to place all three of those items with one singular click, so that we can give all of these same measurements and counts, but not have to do them. There you go. So we've got 3.25 perfectly for each one. Now that would just allow us just to go through and count up a little bit more quickly. There is obviously other scenarios where you could do the same thing again, for example there, or even if it was just as simple as doing the flex and the damper, for example. So I'm sure you'll be able to find different ways in which to use that item. Now, just to show you guys just how to get it all read into the estimating and actually how you get this information that you've taken off once obviously you've gone through and completed it, it's nice and simple. Now there is two ways of reading all of these quantities into the estimating. I'm going to show you the first way, which is to have both the PDF takeoff and the estimating open at the same time, which I do. So I'm in my particular job, which I'd like to read the information into. So I've already got my sections pre-made here, my supply and my extract. So what I'm going to do is go to my PDF takeoff, and what you want to press is this button here, the export to estimating button, which is once again duplicated up here on the top bar as well. So simply give that a press, and that's going to come up and tell you which job it's going to input that to, which is going to be the job which you've got open. So you can make sure that is correct. Now I just want to point something out. There's an exported tick box here. Now this is blank at the minute. As soon as I click confirm to send this information over into the estimating system, it's going to mark these all down as exported. There we go. Now what that means is, say if after we've read all the information in, we've realised we've missed a little bit of the drawing, we could quickly take off that extra little piece, for example, and then do this process again without fear of reading in these items, because the tick boxes actually tell the estimating software that this has already been read in and it can be ignored on this reading. But to actually get the information we've just sent over read in, just press your import PDF button here, and we'll see we've got the different colours and services in which we've used in the PDF takeoff. So all you've got to do is match them up. So I want to read my supply section into supply and simply press import. And if it does come up with any of this information, errors, just press yes, and that's going to then tell you any information with regards to that. So the particular size of fire damper I asked for, it had an invalid bought out size, but the software will amend that, which is what it's doing here. So press yes, and now it's giving us the different options. So what I want to do is pick the next nearest size. Now that was 225 by 225, so I'm just going to go for this 250 by 250 and import that in. And it's saying, would I like to see what it's amended? Yes. Okay, and it was just this line 2 is where we can find the item, and it's just telling us once again we swap from this size to this size. So simply just press exit. And then proceed to then read in the next service. So I want to extract. I'm going to read that to my extract section and import. And there we go. That went through with no problem at all. So simply just press your exit button, and then you can go through and then see the relevant items that you've read in. Now, the other way of reading in the information into the software, okay, would simply be done by saving the drawing. So obviously once you've completed the drawing, in any case, you're always going to want to save the drawing that you've done, and there you can see the auto save I turned on has been making a save. So I'm just going to want to save this with a slightly different description to the original so I don't overwrite it. Okay, so just going to show you this quickly. So if I open back to my documents folder and go into my drawings, you can see there is all of the PDFs and these little files here as well. Now these files is effectively what logs all of your information for you down here. So we can use them to actually read it into the estimating system. So if you haven't actually sent a file over to the estimating, when you press the import PDF button, you can actually navigate to where these files are, and you'll be able to select them, and you'll be able to open them up and read them in the same way. But as I explained previously on the PDF takeoff, because we've marked all these down as exported already, it has nothing available to be read in as those items are being ignored. So that's how you can safely always make sure that you don't accidentally double up on any of your takeoffs. Okay. And then just to show you how to do your Excel export as well, simply just come up to your Excel button, give that a press, and that's going to then go into the particular folder in the same location where the drawings are located, and allow you to save the Excel in whichever name you wish it to be. I'm just going to save it as the same name and hit save, and that export has now been completed. Once again, that can be found by simply pressing your Cloud Documents button and then navigate into that location, and you can see there we have a couple of different versions of this with the items being merged or being shown singularly, and with and being stored with their different services, which we did, for example the green and the red. And what you'll do then is just go and open up and start your next drawing from there. So if you do need any more help with this, make sure to get in contact with us via the support button and by any of the options in here. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.